Coming up on the show today, we have the legendary Jim Peterik. This man has written or co-written so many hits. With 38 Special, he had, Hold On Loosely, Caught Up in You. With Sammy Hagar, the song Heavy Metal. The Ides of March song Vehicle. If you don't know what that song is, Google it and listen to it. It's a huge hit. You definitely will recognize it. And of course, he wrote all the Survivor hits, including Eye of the Tiger. That's a big one. He's collaborated with so many big names, including Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, Dennis DeYoung from Styx, and many, many more. So we only get a smidgen of his career in this interview, but I hope to have him back on the show to talk more. He's a very busy man and he does a lot of interviews. So I tried to ask him some questions that maybe he'd never been asked before. So we'll see how it went. Tell me what you think. Check it out. You look great.
Thank you. I woke up and my hair was purple. Too much grape juice last night.
I love it.
I've been prematurely purple for the last 11 years. I was at my hairdresser guy, and I said, "What can we do that's really crazy?" And I came up with, "How about purple?" And so it was.
And you just stuck with it.
It kind of became my trademark. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, so tell me, is the newest album that you have out right now is the Jim Peterik and World Stage, the Tigress, the thing with all the women?
Yes, that is doing very well. That came out probably in November. And it was my concept. I mean, Serafino, he's the head of Frontiers Records. I don't think he's ever done a record like this with all females. It is a very macho label, with heavy metal and rock and roll and guys in leather, but he loved it. And I rounded up some of my favorite singers and instrumentalists like Mindy Abair and Kathy Richardson of Jefferson Starship, and I wrote all the material. And writing for females' perspective was a little different, because sometimes women, guess what? They're different than us. Mm-hmm. And they say different things, they think differently. So I had to kind of think from their perspective, because a couple times I would send one of the ladies a song, and they'd go, "No, that's too macho." Can you? So I kind of tamed it down a little bit, but it was a challenge as a songwriter.
Yeah. So, I mean, you wrote that book on songwriting, obviously, and, Michelangelo can't teach us how to paint the Sistine Chapel, but what advice would you have for aspiring songwriters, besides buy your book, of course?
Buy the Songwriting for Dummies. But yeah, really, some of the things sound so obvious, but right from the heart, right from something you really feel and believe in, not just, oh man, this could be a hit. What really tugs on people is when they can relate to a story or something you've been through in life. Those are the meaningful stories. And, in my career, some of my biggest stories were from real life, like Hold On Loosely by 38 Special. That was the first time we got together to write back in 81. And, this is a perfect co-write. I had Don Barnes sitting to my right, Jeff Carlisi to my left. And we're sitting there just like deer in the headlights because we had never even met, and we were expected to write a hit record that day, right? And it was really funny, and we really had no luck at all until my wife came in and made nachos, and we each had a beer. Suddenly things started opening up. And Don says, "Well, I got a title." And I said, "Well, let's hear a title," because a lot of times I like to write from a title. And he goes, "Hold On Loosely." And I said, "But don't let go, And Jeff Carlisi finally goes, "Well, I got a riff." And he goes, I said, "Hell yeah."
That's a great song. I love that one.
Oh, man, I love that song. It's one of my favorites.
So when you're writing lyrics...
We wrote it that day. Yeah.
Do you use, I heard one of the singer of Gin Blossoms, Robin Wilson, he was talking about using a rhyming dictionary. Do you use that, or does it all just come out of your head?
Yeah, I used to brag that I do not, and I still don't, but it's nothing to brag about. I have no problem with using one. I've just never needed one.
Hmm.
I usually think if I can't think of it, it probably is too big of a word or a weird word because my vocabulary is all up here, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't look down on it. A lot of times it could probably jumpstart you out of a problem.
Right. Now, do you write song? What's your routine with songwriting? Do you still write songs every day, or like do you write more now than you used to, or the same, or?
Pretty much the same. I'm a nonstop songwriter. I'm always collecting ideas, collecting moods. People will say something and they don't know how damn clever it is, and I'll just write it down. Well, now I'm on the iPhone, but I get inspiration everywhere in life and from other people's situations. Recently, a dear friend of a friend committed suicide, a female, out of the blue. She was 30 years old, beautiful, and that inspired a song. And I kind of conflated it with a famous kind of news anchor, talk show girl that committed suicide out of the blue about a month ago. And it's hard to understand. And I wrote this song called Everything to Live For. And I'm just putting the finishing touches on that. So it comes from real life.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, because that's got to be cathartic in a way too, because you're dealing with the emotions of hearing that news, and you're like, what can I do? Well, I mean, I'm a songwriter. I can write a song about it.
Yeah, it really is cathartic to write a song, and when it touches people, then you know you've hit a nerve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to hear that. Was that going to be on a solo record or?
I'm creating a new project, which not ready to unveil, but it's going to be very exciting. So I'll keep you in touch.
Okay. Yeah, you'll have to come back. I mean, you've worked with so many great people already. Is there anyone on your bucket list that you haven't been able to work with that you keep trying?
Well, I'm a big Sammy Hagar fan, and we caught lightning in a bottle in '81 with heavy metal, which he still to this day encores with, and I've joined him on the stage many times. But I would love to write again with him. And he hasn't taken the bait so far. He's busy with this, busy in that. But that'll happen.
Yeah, I had Damon Johnson. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he wrote a song with Sammy Hagar, and it sounded like you guys had the same story where he picks you up in a red Ferrari, and he said it was just a blast hanging with the guy.
Same thing. And I know Damon well, too, and he's a dynamite guy and great talent. But yeah, Sammy is the original living the American dream guy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, I mean, I think one of the other ones that in your resume that's really amazing, you wrote with Brian Wilson. You say he's actually a dear friend of yours.
Yeah, in fact, Larry of the Ides of March, who I've known since third grade, who just set me up for this cast. We've been friends with Brian for what, about 15 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been in the house here. We consider him a friend. And Joe Thomas, the producer, he's the guy that played Cupid and put Larry and I and Joe Thomas together with Brian and the Beach Boys. And I think our best moment was 2012 when the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson released That's Why God Made the Radio, which Larry and I wrote with Joe and Brian. And they toured the country and that was the name of the tour. Sold 20,000 copies, when they put it up for sale on TV. It was just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, just to be a fly on the wall to watch you two geniuses work together. I mean, does it feel energizing to work with someone else, or is it kind of harder sometimes to work with another songwriter?
Well, it goes both ways. With Brian, you just have to catch him when he's at the piano and doodling, I mean, his doodlings are worth millions, but he's not a disciplined writer. So, the co-writer has to stand there and just listen. And if he comes up with something, you record it and you work from that, because Brian's just a stream of conscious kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be harder when there's pressure. Like, hey, you guys, like with 38 Special, you have to sit and you have to come up with something like you just have to find inspiration, or here's a movie, you got to write a song for this. I mean, that's got to be tough sometimes to force yourself.
Well, having an assignment and a goal is really, really important for me. I just wrote two albums, portions of two albums with Dennis DeYoung of Styx, formerly of Styx.
Mm-hmm.
And at first we really didn't click, and that was about 15 years ago. We sat down and nothing came. This time we realized that we each had to bring to the table a seed, a song seed. And then the other guy would go, okay, and we'd get rolling. But the secret is to have these little starter seeds that we each came to the writing session with, and that made all the difference.
Yeah, and I love that song you did with him, "Proof of Heaven." And I guess I heard the story, you wrote it in a graveyard in Italy. That's spooky.
Yeah, that's where it started. I love walking through graveyards. I was on the road doing shows with Toby Hitchcock and Pride of Lions, and I go there cemeteries sometimes to just reflect and feel the vibes. And that's where I started the song seed for Proof of Heaven.
So what did you do, like research on that topic? Do you dive deep into that, read books about it? Because my dad wrote a book on a similar kind of subject. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about that. Your thoughts on?
Yeah, I've read numerous books about that, including the book Proof of Heaven, which is a book.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it is. And Dennis wanted to change the title because it was a book, but nothing sounded like Proof of Heaven, because that's really the song.
And yeah, so you don't get a copyright infringement or anything like that?
No, it's a different medium.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Another person that I've listened to a lot of your interviews, so I've heard a lot of these, some of these stories before, but I was like, I got to ask him something that no one's asked him. I don't think anybody's asked you about working with Tom Keifer, who I think is totally underrated. And you wrote 3 songs with him, and it's that bluesy fun. It must've been fun to write those songs.
Oh yeah. Hey, Larry, would you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Hand me that picture of myself and
sure.
Keifer and my son.
Okay.
This is permanent installation on my bag table. This was many, many years ago. In fact, Colin is probably about 16 there, do you think?
Wow.
If that, now he's 32. So I want to show you the picture. So can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
I never realized how tall Keifer is.
I was going to say, he's got like a head.
He's a monster. He's a monster. Oh, man. Anyway, it was really a joy writing with Tom. And we wrote some great stuff. More than even came out. We wrote so many songs that, you couldn't use them all. But he's brilliant. He's a brilliant guy. And we're going to write again because we've got too much work to do.
Yeah. You must be so busy, like all these different projects, all these co-writes. How long does it take to, like, if you sat down with Keifer and you wrote all these, was this like a day or a week, or how long does it typically take?
Probably 2 days.
2 days. Okay.
To get that first seed and inspiration and sleep on it, come back and finish it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another guy you wrote with, who I just had on the show, Mike Reno of Loverboy. And he's a great storyteller, really funny. But who's the funniest musician or person in the entertainment industry that you've worked with? Like, who's the life of the party that?
Oh, you wouldn't believe who it is. Dennis DeYoung.
Really? He's
a total stitch. He's like a stand-up comedian, Larry said. That's true. You would think he'd be kind of, his vocals are very pompous and wonderful, and he's a cut-up. He does impressions, and he's Italian. What else is new,
Right. Yeah, I've never seen him or with either solo or with Styx in concert. Does he do a lot of shtick in between songs and stuff?
He does a fair amount of shtick. He does. But not as much as if he's sitting here goofing around at a party or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a real ham. And I said that wrong. He's not Italian. He's Dutch. He's Dutch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm terrible with all that stuff.
But whatever.
Yeah.
He talks like an Italian,
Talks like
hey, yo. No.
He's from New York? I forget. Where is he from?
No, he's from here. He's from the burbs of Chicago.
Chicago. Yeah. And that's where you are from, and that's where you reside. Did you live in LA for a while?
No, just making records forever. You know, we'd make a record for 3 months and not see our home.
Okay.
Because our producer was Ron Nevison was in L.A. and we traveled from L.A. up to Sausalito to finish Vital Signs, which is my all-time favorite album by Survivor. Was Vital Signs.
Which no wait, I'm spacing. Which because there's like 6 Survivor albums. Which year was that one?
Well, this was 80. The end of 83, 84. This is the one with all the hits on it. High on You, Search is Over, I Can't Go Back. This is the best album we made, in essence, and Ron Nevison produced it.
Yeah, Ron Nevison. I'm trying to get him on the show. He was, I think he was sick or something, but I'm going to try to get him on. He's produced a lot of great stuff. I bet he's got a lot of good stories.
Oh man, and please send my best if you talk to him. I talked to him occasionally. I gave him he was compiling a hire me kind of a thing, and he wanted a quote from me, and I gave him a really nice quote because it's really from the heart. He's the kind of guy I'll be, doodling. I'll be writing a new song on the piano. We'll be in the studio ready to record, and I'm writing a new song. He comes over and looks, says, "Try inverting the A with the G," and I'll go, "That'll never work." He goes, "Try it." I try it. It works. It's brilliant. He silently walks away and says, "No charge."
Wow.
That's
interesting.
Story. He's very generous guy.
There's got to be some producers that are not hands-on like that. Like I know Rick Rubin is famously doesn't really do a lot with, it's more about the environment and inspiration and not necessarily technical.
That's true. He's a very, how would you put it?
Hands-off producer?
Hands off for sure, but I can't work that way. I need a game plan. If I come in with a co-write, I really want to have a song seed to grow from. I've learned that with all the writers that I write with. And if they like it, we keep going. If they don't, well, then you show me a seed, so.
Right. Which producers are you working with right now? Or do you work with producer now?
Right now, self-produced. Jim Peterik, Larry's my right hand guy, engineer and consulate. But no, I mean, I've often toyed with, I wonder what it would be like to go back with Ron Nevison for a record, but hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Well, some of that stuff's cost now too, because it's so expensive to get all these people together. Everyone lives in a different state now.
Oh yeah, it's not as expensive as you think because it's all, you fly files everywhere.
Right.
The challenge is making it sound like you're all in the same room, which Larry is great at, creating an ambience.
Is that how you typically do it? Is you send the files from person to person?
Yes. What'd you say, Larry?
You should mention Fred Mahler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was your question?
Just how you typically send the files from person to person. You typically are not in the same room anymore.
That's correct.
Yeah.
When you can get it, sure. Fred Mullen, Larry reminded me that a great experience with Fred. He's produced Jimmy Webb since the 60s. And many other people, Linda Ronstadt and on and on and on. We got the chance to work with him. I've known him many, many years because every time I would go to Nashville, he would buy me dinner. I said, "This guy's great." But Fred made a great album with the Ides of March called Play On. And that came out in a very bad time when COVID was just hitting the ground. And it's a terrific record. We're going to pretend like it's a new album and re-release it. It's that good.
Wow. Now, and you typically tour mostly as was the Ides of March. You do some solo shows too, though, right?
Yeah, mainly the Ides of March, and occasionally, well, more than occasionally, I'm a guest star on these kind of rock reviews, 80s kind of reviews that are so popular. And you get up there and you do your 3 big ones. For me, it's usually Vehicle, Search is Over, and Eye of the Tiger. If I had to pick 3, those would be the 3. But sometimes I go into Hold On Loosely or Caught Up in You or something.
Do you like singing? Do you like kind of being the front man? Is that partly why you felt like you had to leave Survivor? Because you wanted to do your own thing, right? Well,
yeah, I've always been a front man with the Ides, and it was such a hard thing to take, being almost the side man. And back at the keyboard's kind of hidden. that wasn't me, you know, but I took one for the team, and Survivor did very well. But in '96, I just decided I've had enough of that, you know, and created Pride of Lions and my solo shows, and amped up the Ides of March, and I was back in the front line, you know.
Yeah, it's totally different. I just watched have you seen that documentary on Amazon Prime called Hired Gun?
No.
It's really good. I think you'd like it. And it shows all these people that were, you know, quote unquote, hired guns with musicians. Like, what is your thought on that? Do you think sometimes the hired guns kind of get screwed over?
Yeah, I mean, they don't enjoy the spoils of the songwriting process. You know, for me, if it wasn't for songwriting, I wouldn't probably have this house. It's hard to make money as a rock musician, but if you're a noted songwriter, that's where the money flow comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they interviewed like Billy Joel's drummer, but he was saying how he doesn't get a songwriting credit, but he does help with the arrangement.
Yeah, Liberty is very bitter about that. I mean, we're dear friends, and
oh, are you with Liberty?
Yeah. But you know, he has a case for that, but it'll never hold up in court.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, it's Billy Joel's band, and
well, he wrote the songs. You know, Liberty contributed tremendously, but it's called arranging. You know, not writing.
And you don't get credits for that, right?
No.
Yeah, I always wonder that because sometimes there's some bands where they will give a credit to every single band member. And I know that the drummer typically does not have a lot to do with the songwriting unless they play those other instruments. So it is interesting to see that.
Well, you can assign writing credits to anybody, your cleaning lady, and it's legal.
Yeah.
It all depends on how you set it up.
Do you think that the bands sometimes do that just to be fair, but it's not, it seems like it's not really fair. Like if the singer wrote the whole song and just because the drummer played a drum part, that's not really writing the song.
Well, you know, it's for keeping the band happy. That's why they do it. And it works. You know, it's a lot to take away from the guy who wrote it, but sometimes you take one for the team, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of sad though, because like some of those, I mean, those song royalties are so valuable, and now it's like kind of all you got with album sales. It's hard to get money off that.
Correctamundo. Hey, I wanted to ask you. I'm in the middle of a session, and I just wondered how much longer you need with me.
Oh, I can wrap it up whenever you need to get going.
Yeah, I'm working on a new song that I'm going to be recording for this new project I'm designing, which in 2 months when we talk again, I'll be able to tell you about. But it's pretty exciting.
Secret.
But, secret right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I can let you go. I always end with a charity. I know you have the Vehicle for Education charity. Correct. Can you tell me about that?
I sure can. Over the last 7 years, we've endowed many musicians, artists, female or male, from our alma mater, Morton West High School in Berlin, Illinois. And we always have a nice ceremony to award this person, you know, a nice wad of cash, and send him on his way. And the Ides of March performed that night, about 3 songs. And it's great to go back to Morton West, our alma mater.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll put that in the notes along with your website, and people can get all your music, which there's tons of, and then check for tour dates as well. Yeah,
JimPeterik.com, theidesofmarch.com, Facebook, Jim Peterik. I would love to communicate with you guys. Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Pleasure talking. You're a very, very knowledgeable guy.
Thank you.
I'll tell you.
Thank you.
You're not like, what's your favorite color? No.
No, I wanted to do something different. So yeah. Hopefully that was good.
It's a deep dive.
All right.
Great meeting you, and let's talk again.
Okay, for sure. Sounds good.
Right.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, what can you say? Jim is a busy man, so not a lot of time. He's got tons of interviews out there, and I've listened to a lot of them. Lots of great stories that he's told. And so there's definitely more material for a part 2. If that happens, I hope it does. I want to thank Jim and his PR team for helping set this up. Make sure to follow Jim and his bands on social media. Check out his website for more information, tour dates, all that stuff. And you can check out my website too if you're bored, and follow me on social media as well. I post short clips of my interviews on Instagram and TikTok, so you can get a taste of some of the interviews I've done. And if you're looking for the full episodes, they're available obviously on all the podcast formats and also on YouTube, organized by playlist and section. So whether you like 80s rock or 70s rock, or maybe you like TV and movies or interviews with authors and experts, they're all organized there, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, and remember to shoot for the moon.